they chose me, but I do enjoy the choice myself.
It's been, I don't know, over 10 years, and I met Janelle when I got my first dog, and she said, come to training, and so I did, and then I never left.
I can't remember wanting to do anything different.
I think that I've always identified with them a little bit, and I like feeling like I can translate for them and help their people understand them a little bit better.
I can't think of anything more rewarding and more fun than working with creatures that just kind of work based on instinct and without any hidden agendas. It's very honest work, which is what I love about it.
I have chosen to spend my life working with dogs because the relationship between a human being and a non-human being, I think, is far more important than this world generally gives credit to.
What makes me happiest about working with dogs is improving relationships between dogs and their people.
What makes me happiest about working with us is helping repair that human-animal bond.
It's when I can help people and dogs to make that bridge in their communication.
When I can see the people's joy and they're so surprised that their dog can do something.
The thing that I love the most about working with animals, and specifically with dogs, is that moment when I see an owner see their dog think and problem solve for the very first time, and that in that moment they finally actually see their dog for what they are. I love that. I could see it 1,000 times. I'd never be sick of it.
And when you can come in and make changes and help people understand why their dogs are doing what they're doing and how to fix it, and seeing that relationship blossom to become healthy and everybody becomes happier, that's what makes me happiest.
The thing that makes me the happiest working with dogs is when you help the dog and owner live together, and everyone's happy at the end. We're able to sort of make peace with them.
Really just to be gentle and understand that they are animals and they are our companions, that they don't speak English, that they're living in our house and we're asking them to live in our conditions.
If I could change one thing for dogs as pets, I would help people understand what they're communicating much better.
I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna do two things.
I would want to widen the average owner's definition of enrichment.
I would ask them to be patient with their animals until they learn to speak the same language.
It would be that people could be better at reading the body language.
So one, it would be giving them the power of choice.
Probably be finding a way to change their environments to give them more freedom, to give them more natural behaviors or the ability to express natural behaviors.
I think especially when we talk about fearful body language, I really wish that they came with a translator.
And then the second is really complementary to that, which is helping the people who live with those animals understand what's actually happening.
I would like dogs to be respected for being dogs and honored for being dogs.
Well said.
And before we jump in and start, I just want to pose that question to the room, to anyone who would like to share maybe their why. Why have you chosen to spend your life working with animals? Any volunteers to offer that up? No one? Okay, why have you chosen to spend your life working with animals? Does anyone want to share their why? Yes.
When I saw that how misunderstood cats are.
Yep, that's a great one. Good. Anyone else? Their why? Yeah.
Money pays the bills, but it won't fill your soul.
Good, I love that. How about what makes you happiest? Anyone want to share their happy that comes from animals? Yeah?
I'm a general practitioner, so I
Sure.
love being able to see and help new puppy owners and new kitten owners kind of set them on the path and having them come back 2 years later and love coming in to the vet to see me.
Awesome. Good. And if you could change one thing, one answer from someone, if you could change one thing for companion animals, what would it be? Anyone want to? Yes. That's a great one. I love that. So people could be home more with their pets. Yeah. So thank you for offering your feedback. Welcome everyone officially to the Companion Animal Welfare Talk. When Margie asked if I wanted to talk about animal welfare again at this year's conference, I was really excited to have the opportunity to highlight again just a subject that's so critically important and that's really close to my heart. But what's more exciting to me and what's highlighted in the video that we watched and the answers that you just gave is the opportunity to do it in this room filled with people who are just ridiculously talented and knowledgeable and compassionate. And so when I thought about that, when I reflected on who would be in this room, and the experience and the dedication that each of you is bringing to the table, I thought, this is a really great opportunity to put a room full of super impressive minds to work. So we're going to take a little bit of a different tack with today's lecture. Before we start, though, I just want to ask 2 questions. So number 1, who here considers themselves an advocate for the companion animals that they work with? Me too. And who here wants better for companion animals than what we would consider the current public standards of care and training? Cool. All right. Yeah, me too. So with that, I want to welcome you for the rest of this talk. You're now an official member of the Companion Animal Welfare Social Movement. This is our campaign for companion animal welfare. And by definition, a social movement, it just refers to a sustained effort by some group of people who want to change societal structure or values. And I think you'll all agree that, man, our companion animals deserve this. They deserve a sustained effort from all of us to advocate for them, to be smart and strong and stubborn and creative on their behalf to make the world better for them. So this Pretend for Now But Not for Long campaign is going to guide us through the remainder of our discussion today. We'll lean on common principles and strategies from other successful social movements to guide us through how we're going to develop some effective messaging and actions to really start to make an impact and get that information out there. And then we're finished. What we're going to do is make the resources that we create from all the information that we brainstorm together here today available on a website called companionanimalwelfare.com that'll be available for free and easy download and sharing on social media, and again from the content that you guys put together today. So the website's already created, it's just not public, but that's what we'll do with what we spend our time on today. So is everyone ready to get started and take companion animal welfare from now to next? Yeah, cool. All right. So section 1 is our now. So we're going to review what the primary concerns of behavior professionals are and some primary concerns and beliefs of pet owners. And then we're going to focus on the next. How do we move forward? I'm going to go through, especially because we started a little bit late, but also just because there's a lot of content, I'm going to try to go through this first part really quickly, but I'm going to put up my email address at the end, so if anyone wants like a one-sheeter of the survey results that we discussed, just contact me. I'm happy to send them to you afterwards, okay? All right, so before we dive into the first section, here's a 90-second overview of animal welfare. I made a video because I didn't trust myself not to talk for longer than planned if I tried to go through just general welfare information. A lot of you are familiar with welfare, some of you less so I thought this would be a good compromise.
Welcome to Animal Welfare in 90 Seconds. What is animal welfare? It's an animal state as it tries to cope with its environment. It varies along a continuum from very poor to very good. When we talk about animal welfare, we are referring to the well-being of an individual animal, not a whole species. And most often, animal welfare considers the well-being of captive and companion animals, those animals who are under human care. Who decides if an animal has good or poor welfare? Ultimately, the animal. But since we can't sit them down and ask them about their current welfare state, we rely on certain measurements, tools of animal welfare science, to tell us. Such measures include behavior measures, physical health measures, and physiology measures, which largely focus on indicators of stress. The presence of stress isn't always a welfare concern. To determine whether an animal is experiencing levels of stress that do present a welfare concern, we look at whether the stressors are too severe, such that an animal's coping response will not work, We look at whether the opportunity to use a coping response is prevented, and we look at whether or not the animal's physiological state is unable to return to normal due to the exposure to frequent stressors. To recap, animal welfare considers how animals, especially captive and companion animals, are coping with their environment. It's a kind of quality of life or well-being grade. It's measured on a continuum from very poor to very good, and we use a variety of measures related to the animal's behavior, physical health, and physiology to help us assess their current welfare state.
There. So that's animal welfare in a really quick nutshell. Dealing mostly with captive and companion animals, measured on a spectrum from very poor to very good. There's no magic point at which it goes from poor to good. That will vary by individual animal. We're considering the animal's behavior, physical health, and physiological state over time to determine what their welfare state is, and it's measured on an individual basis. It really is a study of one. So, let's dive into the reason we're here today, which is companion animal welfare specifically. This is obviously a really big topic. Even if we look at just dogs, we can come up with issues that are as varied as puppy mills and dog fighting and relinquishing to shelters and breeding standards that result in health-related behavior issues, and so much more. If we extend that out to horses and cats and birds and all the other types of companion animals, it quickly becomes a really large and really complex problem. So today, what we're going to focus in on are the types of welfare issues that we encounter more commonly as behavior consultants with our private clients. So those issues that are related to owner-animal interactions, environmental setup, that kind of thing. Even that's still a pretty large subset. So we asked you to prioritize. We did a quick little survey. It's a small sample, but the results came back as, I feel like, being pretty representative of a lot of common concerns, and asked you to describe what you feel are some of the biggest welfare concerns stemming from common pet care practices. It was an open-ended question. We didn't want to prompt and guide for specific types of responses, so you could just tell us what you thought. And then we took the responses and analyzed the words to create a little word cloud, and came back with 3 really kind of distinct themes that showed up again and again. One was this concern about companion animals spending too much time alone, as mentioned back here, or being isolated, or just having kind of barren housing situations. The second was companion animals not receiving enough mental stimulation or enrichment or enough freedom to engage in natural behaviors. And then the third centered around welfare concerns that arise from an owner's inappropriate use of punishment or aversives to try to deal with their pet's behavior. And then running throughout all of these was just this idea of a lack of understanding of an animal's needs and behaviors through that led to kind of inappropriate care and treatment. So that's what we found. If we take it out of word cloud form, the 3 big issues that came back were this isolation and time spent alone, lack of mental stimulation and ability to engage in natural behaviors, and stress caused by inappropriate or aversive training and behavior modification methods. And then we said, well, why do we feel like these negative welfare concerns exist? And so we asked folks to rank from 1 to 4, 1 being most influential, 4 being least influential, which of these 4 they felt like had the most influence or contributed the most to these welfare concerns. Before I show you the results, if you are willing, if you go to this URL on your phone, you can actually vote. We're only going to do most influential and least influential, so those are the 2 questions that will come up. All right, cool. So as people, we can see the results coming in, or I can here, just 1 sec. I'll tell you what they are because I'm not sure how to share it on my screen. So 80+% of you are ranking as number 1 just a general lack of knowledge about animal behavior and animal needs. And that's like far and away the clear winner in terms of most influential. And then least influential, let's see. Oh, it looks like people didn't get there yet. Oh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yep, there it goes. So what's winning by a landslide in this one is lack of owner caring as being the least influential cause. You guys gave us, thank you for doing that, I was just curious. You guys gave the same answers as the people in the survey. So number 1 by far was this general lack of caretaker knowledge and understanding of of animal behavior and animal needs. And number 4, lowest on the list, was this idea of a lack of caring. That is my personal experience too. Most people care a lot about their animals. They just may not have the information and knowledge they need to do otherwise. So that's what we got from behavior professionals. And then we wanted to say, well, let's see where pet owners are currently at. And so it certainly isn't a huge sample, but the results were interesting and very consistent across all owner types. So we did 240 dog owners, 75 cat owners, 75 horse owners, and 50 bird owners across the United States. They were from all over the country, all different ages and income levels. It was actually a really nice representative sample. And what we started off was just on a scale of 1 to 5, how important is your pet's well-being and happiness? 1 being not at all important, 5 being very important. Unsurprisingly, I think, but still really good news, is everyone ranked it pretty darn high. Dog owners came in at the highest, but everyone placed a lot of importance on this idea of their pet's well-being and happiness being really important to them, and that reflects what we feel as behavior consultants too, and what we saw from the results of our little poll just now. But then what we wanted to do is say, okay, you care about your pet's well-being and happiness. How good are you at knowing whether they're happy or whether they're stressed or uncomfortable? So again, on a scale of 1 to 5, I know when my pet is happy or I know when my pet is stressed. And again, what I loved about this, on the left side of the graph is knowing when happy, and on the right is knowing when stressed. And the orange color, that's yes, absolutely. Everything from green and below is like kind of, sort of, not really. So for dog and cat owners, we see this drop kind of in confidence level from knowing happy to knowing stressed. Same thing with the horse owners, same thing with the bird owners. If we put that, just pull it out into percentages, you can see twice as many more people, more than that, for dog owners are not as confident in knowing when their animal is stressed versus happy. Cat owners, more than 3 times as many aren't sure. Horse owners, double. Bird owners, a little less than half, but they just generally were less confident overall. And what I find neat about this is this aligns with research, at least on dog owners, that they're more accurate at categorizing positive emotions in dogs, or positive emotional states, than negative emotional states. What I think is neat about this is pet owners seem to have some awareness of that. And to me, this is, it's risk, because sometimes if we don't know what we're looking at, then the choices we make for our animals can be less than ideal. But it's also opportunity, because sometimes when we recognize that we have a deficit in ability and in our how good we are at reading our animal's emotional state, that's a window to come in and say, I can help you do that better. And then, kind of along the same line, but just shifting forward, is looking at, okay, well, how confident are you about addressing your pet's different types of behaviors? So I feel confident about the best way to stop my pet's bad behaviors, or to tell my pet that he or she is being good. Again, from 1 to 5. And this was the same type of trend, but even more exaggerated. The feeling confident about telling your animal about good behaviors is on the right side this time, and about how to step in and stop kind of problem behaviors is on the left. And so again, we see this drop in dogs. Cat owners is even more exaggerated. Horse owners and bird owners, really, really exaggerated. So again, if we look at this, over a third of dog owners, more than half of cat and horse owners, and almost 3/4 of bird owners are telling us they're not very confident about the best way to deal with problem behaviors. And again, there's risk here, because typically if we aren't sure how to do something, we might fall back on what seems to be, tried and true, familiar, what we saw our parents do with animals in terms of trying to address problems. But again, opportunity. If people are saying, I don't know how to handle this situation, there's a window there to come in and help. So I thought it was really neat that through the whole thing, all the different types of pet owners kind of told us the same thing. And then, getting into some of the fun stuff that we'll use for the second part of our talk, asking how strongly they believe that training should be a positive experience for their pet, for their animal. And we posed this to dog, horse, and bird owners. The cat folks did not get asked this question, but you can see here, I was actually, maybe I shouldn't have been because I don't know a lot about horse owners and ownership, but I was really surprised that horse and dog owners fell at the same point on this, but they both rated as really very important to them, and bird owners a little bit less so, but still caring a lot that the animal has a positive experience. I recognize that what we consider a positive experience for the animal and what an owner might consider to be a positive experience is different, but the intent is there, and that's awesome. And then the last one, this was asked only to dog owners, but it was, what do you feel are some of the biggest welfare concerns for dogs today? And they rated from 1 no concern to 4 big concern, and they could rank them all 1s or them all 4s, or a mixed match of all of the above. And here's what came back. Of the options, the top 2 were too much time alone, which was one of our big concerns that we voiced. The second was not being treated with kindness and respect, which I was surprised to see that come back so high, but it aligns really well with us, or with them stating that they care a lot about well-being and happiness, they care about training be a positive experience, and it also aligns well with our feedback as behavior consultants that we're worried about maybe the inappropriate use of punishment and aversives in our pets. So that's kind of a recap or a rundown of where we are now in terms of behavior consultant views and pet owner views. Yeah?
Where were these people from?
They were from all across the country. So it was collected, yeah, it was collected through the paid survey function and SurveyMonkey.
Okay.
Yep.
Where did this pop up? Like, was this a Facebook ad?
It was through the SurveyMonkey paid function, so it would come up through different online sites as an option for them to take. Yep. Yeah. And then, so now, how do we move forward into the next part of this? This is where we're going to break in and work in groups in a second. If we look at kind of common themes that go through successful social movements, they all have a nice clear purpose, they all have nice clear goals, they generally invite wide range of audience in to hear their message instead of focusing on one in particular. They're really good at effective messages in terms of education and awareness, and then also providing access to alternate solutions. What I want to focus on with us today for our campaign for companion animal welfare and the information that we're going to brainstorm together to develop handouts and resources and quizzes and everything else that are all free and that we can share with pet owners, we're going to focus on this section. Purpose, very straightforward. Our goals are pulled from, I'm going to skip this just for time. Our goals are pulled from our primary issues that we identified. But again, in the interest of time, I would love to spend a little bit more on this. We're going to focus on effective messaging, and specifically, we're going to focus on doing a really nice job of defining what these problems are for pet owners and how they can recognize when they might be present, and then also providing information about, hey, there are ways that you can change your behavior, that you can alter your environment, that you can do things differently to help address these issues. Thank you for going a different route with me for this today. There's just so much knowledge in this room, and I think it's worthwhile for us to spend time together talking it through and writing things down, and then again finding ways to push it out to people, because that is what makes the change happen. And providing access to alternatives. We don't have time to focus on this, but I just want to say, make it easy for people to find you and work with you. Take all of the information that you learned at this conference and the business track and all the incredible behavior tracks and apply it, and support the awesome organizations like IAABC who have a shared purpose of improving companion animal welfare. If you're willing to leave your sheets on the table so we can collect them afterwards, awesome. If you'd rather pick them up and take them, that's fine. This is my email address, so if you want any of the survey data sent to you, I'm happy to do that. Also, if you're just kind of interested in being involved, maybe helping create handouts and quizzes and resources and that kind of stuff for the website, then wonderful as well. And I think that brings us to the end. This is our little home. So that just has, I think it's still loading, but things like, do you speak cat? 8 ways to make your dog happy. Is your horse lonely? So these are the types of resources that we want to create from the information that we gathered from you guys today that you'll leave on the table and that Brian took notes on. And we'll send out a link maybe through the IAABC Facebook member group and let you guys know that it's available. And we are very open. I am very open to feedback and changes and adjustments and requests for material. So thank you guys for focusing on companion animal welfare today. Thanks.